Hey y'all, I'm Jenny, and I have created this video to take you through a Vinyasa. The video is for both beginners. I know it can be intimidating to go to a yoga class, and maybe your teacher tells you to flow through a Vinyasa or just calls out pose names without really breaking it down. And you're not sure what you're supposed to be doing, you're looking around the room, you don't know if the person you're watching is doing it right, and then you're left with not having the best yoga experience. So hopefully this video will help to alleviate some of that. And then the video is also for more seasoned yogi practitioners. You know that we do this transition a lot, and it's really easy to take it on autopilot and just flow through without really thinking about the alignment and what your body should be doing and what you should be feeling as you flow. So hopefully this will give you something to think about. And before we get started, I think it's worth mentioning that depending on where you are on the mat will make the difference for some breath cues. We are going to start in down dog, and so coming from down dog, we'll inhale to high plank, exhale to low plank or chaturanga, inhale to up dog or cobra, and then exhale back to down dog. If you're coming from the front of the mat, say you are in a sun salutation, you're coming from a halfway lift, most likely either you will plant your hands and exhale straight back to chaturanga, so you skip the high plank and just go straight back to the low plank, or you will, from your halfway lift, exhale, plant your hands, step back to high plank, lower to low plank, all on one breath, all on that exhale. And then you'll inhale to up dog or cobra, and exhale back to down dog. So, with that in mind, of course you're welcome just to sit and watch, or, better yet, get up, practice along with me, see if you can feel some of the things that I'm talking about. So as I mentioned, we are going to start in down dog. So first of all, you want your fingers spread really wide. You really want to stretch the webbing in between your fingers. And then either your index fingers or your middle fingers will be pointing forward on your mat. Your hands are coming straight out of your shoulders. So they're shoulder width apart. You don't want to be too wide on the mat or too narrow, but nice and straight coming from the shoulders. So you'll tuck your toes and lift your hips. You're creating an inverted V with your body. And then if you take a peek at your arms, most likely your elbow creases are facing each other. It's really common, but really what you want is to find an external rotation with your upper arms. So you're spinning your upper arms out to the sides, which will also, without moving your hands, cause your elbow creases to spin forward. So they're facing forward on the mat. You're lifting up between your shoulder blades so that you're not sinking and collapsing. But you're pulling up, and you want to feel like you're trying to pull your armpits in towards each other, which I know sounds really weird and kind of silly, but that's kind of what you're feeling for, so you have a nice, broad, strong back. Your hips are really high, and you want to feel through your leg bones pulling to the wall behind you. It's almost like you're trying to pull the inner thighs to that back wall. Your legs are strong, but you're not locking out in your knees. And your feet are about hip width distance apart. So I notice with my ladies, a lot of times you think our hips are wider than they are. But you want your legs coming straight back from your hip bones, and so that's about 2 fist widths, or if you have a yoga block, about the width of that block. And your heels are reaching down for the mat behind you, but they're not able to touch the mat. If you're standing flat-footed, then you need to lengthen your stance and step back a little bit. Good. And then your head is going to hang heavy. No tension in your neck. Now I'm going to keep my head up so you can hear me, but just know that you want to keep your neck nice and heavy. You can look back at your toes. Helps you kind of figure out some of those alignment with your legs. So from here, we're going to take the modifications first. As you inhale, shift forward to high plank and come down to your knees. So if you notice, I didn't really move my hands and my arms very much at all. You can make some little minor adjustments. You want your hands coming directly down from your shoulders, and so if you need to make some adjustments, that's okay. You just don't want to have to be moving around a lot on your mat through your Vinyasa. Good. You still have that external rotation with your arms, so your elbow creases are still spinning forward, and your fingers are still spread nice and wide. Your abs are engaged, and your tailbone is soft. It's a nice diagonal line all the way from the crown of the head down through the hips. Good. And from here, as you exhale, you'll bend your arms, scraping your elbows back by your ribs and pulling them back behind you. And just drop your chest and chin to the mat. So your hips stay high here. This one is called inchworm. And then from here, as you inhale, you'll flatten your hips and use the strength of your back to lift your torso. So my bent here, and again, I haven't really moved my hands very much to get into this position. A lot of times in this pose, this is Cobra, I will see people straightening their arms all the way and using their arms to lift their backs. And you really want to avoid that. It does a lot of pressure and tension in the low back and can lead to an injury, and it's not the point of yoga. We want to heal instead of injure. So use the strength in your back to lift your torso up. Your gaze is down, there's no strain in the neck. And you can use your hands for a little assist, but you just don't want to use them to push. You don't want to use the strength of your arms, you want to use the strength of your back here. And then as you exhale, you can either pull your hips to your heels and then tuck your toes, coming back to down dog, or from your Cobra, you can exhale and tuck your toes and then engage your abs to lift your hips straight back into down dog. So if we take this to tempo, as you inhale, you shift forward, coming down to your knees. Exhale, lower your chest and chin to the mat, hips stay high. Inhale, flatten your hips, lift your torso. And then as you exhale, tuck your toes. Either come through child's pose or lift straight into down dog. Good. So from here, we're going to work the full expression of the pose. A lot of the alignment cues will stay the same, but you are doing some different things with your body. So as you inhale, you shift forward to high plank, staying on the balls of your feet. Your abs are really engaged, you feel them working. Tailbone is soft, and you're a long, strong line of energy, all the way from the crown of your head to your heels. So you're not dipping with your hips, and you're not piking. Abs are engaged, and you're in one strong line. From here, as you exhale, you're going to bend your elbows, pulling them back to the wall behind you, scraping your ribs, and then you stop when you're halfway down. So you're not coming all the way down to the mat for this chaturanga. You're stopping, your arms are at a 90-degree angle. From here, as you inhale, you pull your heart through. You can press into the palms of your hands and the tops of your feet for up dog, and this time it's okay to straighten your arms. You'll see that I'm pressing into the tops of my feet, which lifts my legs up off the mat. So it's not dumping and putting so much pressure on the low back. And then as you exhale, tuck your toes, lift your hips for down dog. So if we take that one to tempo, as you inhale, shift forward to high plank. Exhale, shift forward a little bit more, bend your arms to 90 degrees for chaturanga. Inhale for up dog. And exhale, tuck your toes, lift your hips for down dog. And that's all there is to it. So as you practice, you take the vinyasa the way that you need to take the vinyasa. If you want to modify sometimes and take the full expression sometimes, that's great. If you want to modify some of the poses and take full expressions of others, that's great too. It's your body, it's your yoga. Just be safe and have fun. Bye everybody. Namaste.